and welcome to... Uh-oh, we're running out of battery. Cut. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Cheap Dragon Show. My name is Frugalmax and I am the Cheap Dragon. And today we're looking at the myriad materials for making multitudes of miniatures. Yeah. In the world of the tabletop games, we live in a time of great abundance. Back in the old days, we just had lead. You would go and work on some miniatures and come out with a fine layer of poisonous dust all over your fingers. Oh, those were the days. Good times. Nowadays, in addition to the high-impact polystyrene, that is the highly regarded stuff of the plastic sprue, there are also a whole bunch of other things that you could get your miniatures made out of. So, today we're going to review a bunch of these materials using examples from Reaper Miniatures. For those of you who are not aware of it, Reaper Miniatures is a company based out of Texas in the United States, and it is currently the most popular miniatures company that we know of that is named after a piece of farming equipment. Yep. We're going to look at the different materials they use, because they do use a lot of different materials, and try and sort out which ones are the best for what uses. Similar materials can be found from other manufacturers, of course. Let's see how they hold up under our highly scientific scrutiny. Go! Okay, so we've got the classic metal miniatures.
White metal, pewter. It's heavy. It's not particularly easy to cut or convert, but it's solid. Paint chipping can be an issue.
We've got the Bones PVC material that came out with the big Kickstarter in 2014.
Classic Reaper Bones. Lightweight, bendy.
We've got Bones Black.
Hard to get out of the package. Harder. Lightweight.
We've got Bones USA, which is also Siocast, I guess.
Lightweight. Slightly bendier than Bones Black. Not as bendy as Reaper Bones Classic.
And we've got this new 3D printed material.
RM Print. Reaper 3D printing material. It's actually kind of flexy. It feels very similar to Siocast, but it's got these 3D print supports on it, so it's different.
Okay, I'm being told our scrutiny is not very scientific at all, but let's not let that stop us.
So one thing about the Bones Black material is that it's really hard. Harder than plastic that gets used to make miniatures on sprues. So what I'm going to try and do with this Bones Black wizard here is cut her base off. One thing that's nice about the Bones Black material being really hard is that mold lines are pretty easy to remove compared to the classic Bones material, where it's so flexy that the little bit that you're slicing off does not just kind of break away easily. And you can end up kind of chewing up a bit more than you want it to. But that said, they're much, much easier to cut. So, see, I don't want this flexy sword. I'm going to change it for another one. Cutting that off will be very simple.
Yes, this scrutiny is a bit on the weak side. Grow a spine! Or many spines! There you go, a dragon. That's what we're talking about.
And the nice thing about 3D prints is there are no mold lines, because there's no mold. just those supports. They seem to come off or break relatively simply. Switch to this other Bones USA guy that I have here. Detail's pretty sharp. Very few mold lines. A little bit in here. A place that probably nobody would see, but would probably bother me if I left it. The difference between Siocast or Bones USA and the 3D print material. 3D print appears to be a little bit sharper in detail. And one way to sort of show this is the stamp on the bottom. This is the 3D print one. It has a different texture to it, and the letters are very, very sharp.
One thing that the consumer is always looking for, clean letters on the bottom of the miniature base.
The Siocast one, it's actually a little bit smoother feeling, and the letters are softer. But when it comes to the miniatures themselves, it doesn't seem like it's too big a difference. Let's see about cutting this material.
So you're removing the nice sharp letters?
No, it seems to be alright. So that was the 3D print. I'll try taking this guy off.
Oh, I think I know what's coming. We've seen this happen in a previous episode. Oh, snap!
Interesting. So I'm gonna have to rebuild his feet.
Here we go with the spray paint.
So after 2 layers of spray primer, dark brown and gray, the Bones black miniature, no problem, no tackiness.
Some of these outfits look a little tacky to me.
Reaper Bones USA, also no tackiness, seems fine. Here we have 3D printed guy.
That one is perfect.
Also, no issues with the spray primer. What else? Metal, of course. No issues. The Reaper Bones classic miniatures and spray primer do not mix particularly well.
Oh, why don't we spray the Bones classic material?
This is a Reaper Bones Pathfinder Dragon from the original Reaper Bones Kickstarter back in 2014. So it's that same bendy Bones material.
It's not smart to pull a dragon's tail like that.
I spray painted it with black spray primer sometime around 2014 or 2015.
That was a bad idea.
And it was sticky, glossy, and tacky.
Again with this tacky thing.
For about 2 years on the shelf.
Yeah, maybe the dragon was sticky just because she didn't want your grubby fingers on her until you got better at painting. Did you ever think of that?
After about 2 years, the primer on it cured, and it's fine now, but it just took a long time to get there.
Though, to be fair, in the life of a dragon, 2 years is next to nothing.
Okay, so I had already gotten some paint on this 3D printed model when I remembered. I want to test it for conversion purposes and see how easy it would be to cut the head off.
Let me guess. For someone with skill, very easy. For you, kind of hard.
See how that looks.
I like how the hard plastic sprue is sneaking into this otherwise non-sprue episode.
And then for this old Reaper Bones one, I also want to just show how easy it is to cut those and convert them.
Okay. Wait a second. We cleaned up the miniatures, we glued them on the bases, primed them, and started painting, but now we're cutting them up again? What is going on here?
So now, the great experiment of cutting the 3D printed material.
Okay, so now we're cutting this poor lady's head off. Seems a bit harsh, we hardly knew her.
Wow, it seems to cut pretty easily.
He says as he struggles against the little plastic toy.
That was nice, that was better than Bones USA material, the Siocast. I put this guy on a 25mm base just because that was what his base fit on. But I could fit his feet on a smaller base, and it would knock the apparent size of him down a little bit. Of course, cutting metal is not quite as easy. But I wonder if I can get through it with this knife.
And?
The answer is no.
Failure! Okay, now we've got the saw, and It appears we don't know how to use the saw.
Oh, wait, we're going back to... What are those? Wire snips? Ah, yes, his weakness shines for all to see. So back to the saw again. Nope, wait, here comes toenail clippers. Can you imagine what this guy's got going on his toes if he uses the same thing to cut through metal? Okay, we've just broken the toenail clippers. I hope the cameras are rolling when he explains that one to his wife. Finally! And what a great difference all that effort made. What did we learn? Metal is hard to cut. Great! Finally back to painting. Let's get through this part fast. Okay, here we have them. And the verdict on the materials.
Metal is nice and solid, it's heavy, it's difficult to cut, it holds detail very well. There's always a little bit of cleanup, flash or mold lines, but it's not that hard to deal with. One of the drawbacks is that it does tend to chip on any sharp edges. Even with varnish, I've found that little edges like the edges of the book or edges of a cloak, things like that will sometimes chip off even with varnish on them. Here we have our classic Reaper Bones PVC materials. They are softer. The detail is softer, not quite as good. You can particularly see it on this elf's face. It wasn't really clear where an eye patch was.
This is the part of the show where we blame the crappy paint job on the material of the miniature.
But it's very easy to cut, and so it's easy to convert. This has a hard plastic head and hard plastic weapons on a Reaper Bones PVC body, and I think that conversion works pretty well. Here we have two Reaper Bones black miniatures. The detail is very nice and sharp. They're not as prone to chipping as metal is. It's nice and lightweight, but it is hard to cut. Perhaps not as hard as metal, but still hard to cut and not particularly easy to do conversions with, but it is relatively less expensive than metal.
We do appreciate the cheapness.
And pretty nice. Here we have our Bones USA or Siocast miniatures. They're nice and lightweight and the detail is very sharp. Cutting them and converting them is a little more challenging as sometimes the material will snap rather than cut smoothly like the Classic Bones PVC, but the detail's way better than Classic Bones PVC. Drawbacks are it's a bit more expensive, but overall really nice material. And here we have our 3D printed material. The detail's really nice. You do have to clean up lots of little printing supports, but they are very easy to cut away and don't leave like little nubs or anything behind that I noticed. And it's relatively easy to convert. Here we have a 3D printed body.
Oh, Return of the Headless Lady.
With a hard plastic head. And here we took that 3D printed head and put it on a hard plastic body. And I think those conversions worked pretty well. So overall, the 3D printed stuff is really quite good. It is a bit more expensive though. The price is probably in line, depending on the miniature, with Bones USA and even with metal miniatures in some cases. And not to be left out, there is the H.I.P.S Plastic high-impact polystyrene plastic miniatures that come on sprues, which usually on a cost per miniature basis is the least expensive.
Unless, of course, you're talking about the Games Workshop ones.
And allows you to convert miniatures really, really easily. But because they often come in kits, you don't always get the same personality in the miniatures that you assemble out of pieces that you do in individual sculpts.
And this guy knows a lot about lacking personality, believe me.
Like this metal miniature here, he's just got a lot of personality to him.
Maybe it's just the jaunty angle that he wears his hat at.
These others.
Well, there you have it. Hopefully this helps you decide what material is best for your needs, or if not that, at least it kept you from work for a few minutes. And for that, why not give us a like and subscribe, would you? Okay, until next time, if there is a next time, I'm Frugalmax. Don't spend too much. Bye. And this video is not sponsored nor endorsed by Reaper nor any other harvesting machines. What? The Grim Reaper? You think it's named for the Grim Reaper? Or maybe they were trying to get way ahead of their market. Morbid.